It's only when you're on screen you're recording. Good morning. Welcome to our live stream. I'm just getting some studio stuff ready, so give me a second. We kick off in about 2 minutes. So if you've joined already, g'day. You're in the studio before we turn the mics on, basically. Let me just find everything I need to do to make sure this is working well enough. That's good. Excellent. Instagram is going. That's live. I can see that. Excellent. I'm recording. I'm doing all this stuff that you need to do, obviously, so you can have this ready for the pod as soon as we finish the stream. All right. G'day if you're joining from parts of the world, not just Australia. Where am I? There we go. I've got this weird thing now where I wear glasses, yet I haven't worked out the kind of the anti-reflection thing on the glasses, on the lights. So I'll get there. Lizzie Young's going to join us in a minute. I wonder if she's a glasses wearer or not, but we'll find out. We'll find out together, shall we? All right, we've got about, how long have we got to go? About 60 seconds to go, and then we'll kick off our results. The results are in. They're here. I haven't actually poured over them yet. This is exciting because I'm actually going to be seeing them mostly at the same time as you. I've kind of printed them off and I've tried not to look until now, but I've got them ready to go. Welcome if you come along. You can join the comments in the chat. Thank you, Henio. It's on. Great. Perfect. We're going to get going in about 15 seconds. Just so you know, too, if you've joined us on the live stream, it's a bit like you're standing in the studio with me. You won't hear the recorded audio that I hear through the cans because mics are on. But if you're watching this back on the YouTube, you might hear them, and you also might hear it on the pod, which we release the pod later today. As he waits patiently for the clock to tick over. All right, so you won't hear me speak for a sec because I'm playing some recorded audio and then we'll be live. Stand by. Thank you, Abe. What a champion Abe is at Abe's Audio. Welcome to this episode of the Quarter Hour. It's our very first time announcing GfK survey results in Australia. Coming up next, Lizzie Young, the CEO of Commercial Radio and Audio in Australia, and we're going to dive through all these results. Dear listener, good morning. Welcome along. If you're joining us on the live stream, hello. Thanks for your comments in the chat. I'm already seeing a few come up already. Good morning, Cam, Jeff, Peter. Lots of people waiting on to hear the results of GfK Survey 8. Now, if you're not in Australia, this is a little bit different because the Survey 8 results are usually released at the end of last year because it's the end of the survey year. But Commercial Radio and Audio Australia and all of the members have decided to push the announcement of those results into January this year. So the survey data is still collected at the same period, around about October to December 2025, but the results released right now in January. So without any further ado, we better get on with it, hey? We've only got 15 minutes. Lizzie Young, who is the CEO of Commercial Radio and Audio in Australia. Hi, Lizzie.
Hi, Wade. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. We thought it was something nice to do. I'm not sure we've had a live kind of survey results reveal. I know it's kind of being published even as we speak, but it's great that you could make the time for us today.
No problems.
Before we get into all the headlines, just quick reminder, why have we released these numbers in January instead of December?
Yeah, so the survey period actually ran a little bit later into December than it would have in previous years as well. And so there was sort of two reasons for that. One, as an industry, the industry does not go to sleep in December. And so we wanted to be able to extend an extra couple of weeks and obviously have talent on air during what is really a critical period, particularly for clients at the end of the year. And we also wanted to be able to do the release now when people are coming back to work and it's topical information to think about their plans and what they're about to do with their investment versus releasing it just before Christmas when everybody's about to go on a 2-week break here. So really just trying to demonstrate, I think, and realize that the industry doesn't go to sleep. We actually know from some data that we have from GfK that actually summer listening doesn't decrease, which, I think we thought maybe historically that it did. It doesn't. It might change slightly and the hours that people are listening are slightly different, but it's still there. So we just really wanted to capitalize on that for clients.
Excellent. And also great chance to get some attention on radio in the first sort of week of the year. Usually first week of the year, I mean, you know this from your days at Channel 9, it's all tennis, all tennis, all tennis all the time here in Australia, but it's a good chance for us to talk about other things, in this case, radio as well. So thank you for that. What are some overall trends you've seen before we get into the individual results? What are some things you've seen out of this survey that you think are important for us to know?
Yeah, look, I think the number one big thing is, so look, the good news is audiences have grown. So this survey, 12.4 million Australians are listening weekly. And yes, that is up 55,000 year on year. But I think the trend that is more interesting than that and more exciting than us nickel and diming every survey about 10,000 up, 10,000 down, up, down, 50, whatever, is that the consistency that we're seeing here. So effectively since mid 2022, commercial radio has delivered over 12 million audience every single survey. So that is now a long-term trend. It is in a post-COVID normalized world or a new normal world. You know, people thought things might change and it might diminish after COVID. It hasn't. In fact, it's been growing. So I think that's the long-term trend that we're really excited about, is just how much growth, but also stability there is in that audience number. And that's what's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also from an advertising point of view, you know, one thing that advertisers and brands want more than anything is consistency and stability. You know, you want to be able to know that where you're planning and investing your media budget, it's actually going to work. And one thing that does that is consistency over time. So I'm glad to hear you talk about long-term trends, Lizzie, because I know you were probably the same back in your radio station days. You'd go into the meeting room at 10:30, whatever it was those days, and you'd have someone come on and they go, "We're up 0.1, and everyone would cheer." And then the next survey, you go back and go, "We're down 0.1. Oh, but don't worry about it. We'll pick it up." But obviously, the longer-term trends are what you look for, the underlying health of each radio station, each brand, and in your case, the radio industry generally.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, look, the other big trend for us, you know, is digital, and just, or more than that, even really audio everywhere. So we've really been working hard as an industry at ensuring that we are available to our listeners on any platform that they want us. And all of the members have worked on their digital transformation at an industry level. We've worked on that, and really we're seeing the benefit of that because we're available now, you know, AM, FM, DAB plus on apps. We have our industry app. The members all have their own station apps. That's really giving listeners the ability to listen and consume radio whenever they want on their terms, which is super important. And it also means that as we look to the future, we can make sure that as that sort of digital platform growth happens, we can be there. So you will see us already, some members have already launched on connected televisions, for example, you know, with that thinking being, it's not just a TV, it's actually the biggest speaker in the room, and radio needs to be there because that's how people are now consuming that kind of content. There'll also be a play for us with wearables that continues. So I think that audio everywhere trend is something that we're really seeing and embracing.
That's great. Well, Lizzie, we better let you go because, as you know, this is only a 15-minute show, so we could just keep talking or we could get to the actual results. But thank you for coming on behalf of commercial radio and audio in Australia.
Pleasure.
Looking forward to a successful and healthy year. I know you've got lots of initiatives coming up, which we'll talk about. Herd is coming up soon. We'll talk about what that is. And we've also got lots of survey results for later in the year. So hopefully see you again
Awesome.
soon.
Great. Thanks for having me, Wade.
Thanks, Lizzie. Lizzie Young there, the CEO of Commercial Radio and Audio. Okay. The moment you've been waiting for. Next, we'll go through each market by market, the individual survey results for Survey 8, 2025. All right, if you're joining us on the live stream, feel free to add your comments as well. I can see lots of comments coming in. Thank you for all of those. Let's have a look at the survey results. Now, if you weren't here at the top of the stream or start of the episode, just so you know, I've sort of like got them, but I haven't actually looked into them. So I'm seeing them at the same time as you are, which is always nice and surprising. And also nice and surprising is that I'm getting older and I need my glasses, and you can never find your glasses when you need them. Here we go. All right, so let's have a look at Sydney. Sydney's very interesting because obviously it's one of the largest markets in Australia. And what we can see there is, remember this is from the last part of last year, we can see a big increase for Smooth FM. That's gone up 1.6, 10 plus overall. Looking at some of the other numbers that have had some increases or changes, it's all pretty stable actually in Sydney, sort of going to Lizzie's point about the stability over this period of time. Let's look at Sydney breakfast. Everyone always wants to know what's happening in Sydney breakfast. Smooth again has gone up to 10.1, so good rise for them. And all the other stations, not much movement at all. So again, a consistently stable survey for Sydney. Let's take a look at Melbourne next. Melbourne has a lot of great stations, including 3RW, which is one of the powerhouse stations in Melbourne, talk station. Again, a pretty consistent survey, not a lot of swings and roundabouts there. Gold has had a nice increase there. We can see KISS has gone up as well. So yeah, look, pretty good survey all around. Everyone always looks for breakfast, as I said earlier, and looking at those numbers, not a lot of movement, a little bit of movement with Fox, a little bit of movement with KISS, but overall the numbers look pretty healthy. All right, let's go to Brizzy. Lizzie didn't say this. Lizzie was a Black Thunder pilot in Brizzy, just letting you know. So she's got a special interest in that market. Let's just say that. Let's have a look at Brizzy. So yeah, again, stable. So the big headline I can see from these results so far is there's a lot of stability from what was survey 7 last year into survey 8 last year. Not a lot of headlines where you kind of go massive ups or massive downs. A little bit of movement in breakfast. You can see KISS breakfast there, just coming off slightly, but everyone in Brizzy will be happy they've retained Robin, Kip and Corey on that breakfast show there. All right, let's go to Adelaide, my hometown, and for many others I know in radio as well. Overall, again, pretty consistent. Okay, so there's no real massive, like, let's see what's going on type headlines here. It really is one of those surveys that's probably offered up a lot of, we think it's around this mark and it's consistent in terms of how the data has spat out. Maybe a little bit of movement there on SAFM breakfast, and pretty much that's it. Everyone's pretty stable. And finally, off to Perth. Over in the west, I promise Perth next time around we'll do you first, because I know you always get to go last, but next time you go first. Let's have a look at Perth. A little bit more movement in Perth, actually. So Mix a little bit down, Triple M a little bit up, 96 a little bit up as well. And on breakfast, yeah, probably mirroring the overall movements, the 10 plus movements as well. All right, so I would say, based on a quick analysis here of my own eyesight, my own analysis of looking through the survey results as they've just been announced is that it looks a pretty consistent and stable survey across most markets in Australia. Again, a little bit of movement in Perth, but overall, it looks like the survey results are showing probably what we think they should show, which is most of the shows are settled in on most of the stations and formats. Most formats are pretty consistent now. There's not so much upheaval as there was sort of in 2024. And 2025 for most stations has shown a pretty consistent year all across. So drop your comments in the chat if you'd like to join me there. Anything else you want to know about the survey, ask any questions, then we'll do it. But right now, let's get to some liner notes. All right, we're ending each episode with some liner notes, just bits and pieces around the radio industry, things that we think you need to know. Again, we're a bit Australian focused at the moment because obviously I'm here and there's a lot going on in Australia, but we're going to be talking about lots of other markets around the trap soon. Speaking of which, I'm wearing my Canadian Broadcasting Corporation shirt today, my CBC. If you've got a radio station shirt you'd love me to wear on the pod or on the live stream, just send us an email, wade@thequarterhour.com, and we'll give you the details. Or join our P1s, because our P1s get to see stuff first, also get a chance to do the shout outs and other things as well. Hey, a couple of things around I thought you'd be interested in. The Australian Audio Awards are coming up. Now, this is a really important event because, as we know from last year, commercial radio and audio had a really big year in terms of money they had to invest in a lot of different projects, and the decision was made to put a hold or pretty much conclude what was known as the ACRAs. But that's no reason to celebrate for what's happening in audio. We actually have a great celebration coming up with the Australian Audio Awards. They're presented by Mumbrella, Radio Info and Radio Today. The headline partner is Acast this year, so thanks to Acast for coming on board. Entries actually close soon. They're due on the 6th of March. So if you want a chance to showcase your audio against great competition, please make sure you get involved there. There's 27 categories. This is across all of audio, radio and podcasting as well. It's a very dynamic landscape in Australia. So breakfast shows, local shows, crime, sports podcasts, it's all going to be there on the Australian Audio Awards. I'm going to be there on the night. I'll have an announcement about the Australian Audio Awards in the next couple of weeks as well. All right. What else do I want to let you know about? Oh, I do want to let you know we've got a competition coming up. Now, I love competitions. I think this is the old promotions person in me. And I love the idea of us being able to have a competition just for radio people, because we all know what it's like when we see that prize cupboard. It's full of great stuff and it's not for us. Gone are the days where we could kind of get a sneaky movie ticket in the back pocket. Now we're kind of obviously budgets are tighter and we obviously want to make sure that all our listeners win as many prizes as possible. But I thought just for you, we should actually have a competition just for radio people. So coming up in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to announce what that is going to be. I'll give you a clue. It relates to someone who was in the news last week with a disco ball. If you're in pop culture, you probably know who that person is. And I'm really going to be interested in what creative ideas are getting to air in relation to that album release. So a little few clues there, but listen the next couple of weeks. And this competition will be for you to win. There'll be prizes, actual prizes, and you get a chance to win those as well. What else I want to let you know about? Follow us on the socials. We're getting our social game going a little bit more. Every day we try and find something interesting, hopefully amusing, that you can see on our socials. So just go to the Quarter Hour podcast there. A couple of shout outs. I like to do shout outs every time for our P1s because they've been on the journey right from the start. So I'm going to say g'day to Gavin, g'day to Corey, g'day to Donna, James, Luke as well from Story Disco. Luke's a great guy. He started a PR company called Story Disco, which if they don't do something with Harry Styles being called Story Disco, then I'm just getting out of showbiz because that's ready-made for them to do with Story Disco as their brand name. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. All right, well, that's 15 minutes up. It goes really quickly. If you want to join us again, we'll have another episode next Tuesday. So our episodes will likely be Tuesdays from now on. And there's something happening over the weekend in radio that's going to be a moment where most people decide to switch their radios on and discuss and debate their favourite songs. If you know what it is, be listening on Tuesday because we're going to go behind the scenes and look at all the data and how that whole project, that thing I'm talking about, comes together. That's next week on the Quarter Hour. So look out on your podcast feed on Tuesday. But for now, dear listener, that's been the Quarter Hour. Thank you, everyone who's joined on the live stream. Sorry, it's a little clunky there with my glasses work. Not used to reading such small numbers off a screen, but I'll fix that up for next time. Thanks for everyone who's joined us. Thanks for all the comments. Excellent. Still feeling my way here. So obviously still trying to work out how I use that 15 minutes as best I can. Thank you for that. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, everyone. All right, I'm going to say goodbye off the live stream now. And this will be in your podcast feed a little later today. See you soon.